상상도 못했어요. 많이 놀랐죠. 아는 언니가 호주에 일하기 겁나 편하다, 엄청 편하다 얘기해줬어요. 저는 호주 가면 당연히 백인 사람들만 상대할 줄 알았어요. 도착하자마자 그 당일날 저녁에 바로 일했어요. 여자 업주가 페이퍼에다가 이걸 적어줬어요. Hi, my name is I do natural oral sex 69 kissing 다 합니다.
What's your name?
아는 영어 단어는 그냥 Hi 하고 Hello였어요.
Sexual servitude, modern slavery.
There's debt bondage. They've been kidnapped in one case.
Cash, cash, cash. She was a very disciplined individual.
And as we went in, we went straight into the bedroom where the girl was and there was sex taking place.
It is exploitation of the individual at their most intimate level.
Why don't you care? These women are being mistreated by organised crime. You're making money out of these people's misery, aren't you? It's not a small problem, is what you're saying.
It's not a small problem, no.
This is all top secret. They had an undercover.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been an investigative journalist in Melbourne for, I don't know, a long time, 20 years. Human trafficking, it's come up again and again and again. What does that say about our law enforcement, our regulation?
I don't know how to answer that, Nick.
Just when I say put that down, put it down. That guy tirelessly just clocked us. Just bear with me. Just put that camera down for 1 second. Just let me get the park. Like, I appreciate why we need the doco camera here, but the minute they see me with this or you with that, well, it's all for nothing. You might want to put it down. The last few days, I've got 2 separate tip-offs from different sources. I can't really say where they work, but they keep an eye on human trafficking, and both said the same thing. There's this notorious brothel that I've looked at before in respect of human trafficking, sex slavery, things like that, and it's trafficking women again. That's the strong intelligence. So to get 2 different people from 2 different areas without saying which areas they are, maybe it's law enforcement, maybe it's organised crime, but separately saying this brothel in Melbourne is at the centre of some trafficking as we speak is extremely rare. And what do? What's the next step journalistically? Well, as crude as it sounds, it's to go and look at the brothel, to see who's coming and going, see if there's vans pulling up with women. If there is trafficking, often there's red flags. Because I've looked at trafficking at this place before, it's not very glamorous, but you sit in your car and mostly you just see blokes go to the brothel. You sit there for hours and hopefully you don't need to go to the bathroom. There's a van pulling up. It's very hit and miss, obviously. It could be the management going to open it. Just pull the camera down. I'm just going to swing past just to get a close look at this. G'day, I'm good, thanks. How are you going?
Did you see Leaky Australia?
No, I've not seen that. Can I interview him today and just sit and just work on the piece and then publish it Wednesday? you know, I'm giving you my word, it's just me and him. I mean, I could even do it tonight, you know, it's just... So there are a few small clues in all these hours of vision which could be really important and could link us back to this notorious sex trafficking syndicate that the police tried to shut down years ago. And there's a number plate which my team has linked to this guy called Kevin. He's a ruthless Stanhover man, and it's fair to say I know his story all too well. I mean, I've written about this guy time and time again, 10 years ago. It was him that put me on the path of the investigation into the question of, is human trafficking happening in Australia? Trafficking research. It's years worth of research. I mean, been looking at trafficking since 2009. And these are the accounts of South Korean women who were working as sex workers for a trafficking syndicate, and they talk about Kevin. Kevin was the one responsible for watching over the girls. Kevin told me he wished to be called Lao Da, Big Boss. I began speaking to Kevin, pleading with him to let me go. He did not even show that he heard what I was saying. Over the 2 months that I worked as a sex worker in Melbourne against my will, I believe that I had sex with over 400 men. These people are controlling my body, but I should have control over the destiny of my mind, at least. There's heaps I can't tell you about the leaked information that I've got from a whole range of different sources to protect those sources. But the links to the syndicate operating again at number 39 and possibly to Kevin is an early breakthrough. It's big, it's a big deal. This is my old human trafficking file. Years ago, I wrote about this young Melbourne guy. His name was Abraham Papo. Fell in love with a South Korean. She was a sex worker. He thought that she'd been trafficked and he went to save her life. He ran into Kevin. There was an altercation and ultimately Kevin killed him, bashed him to death. And from that, everything else fell out, the whole seedy picture. But you got to understand, back then I wasn't investigating human trafficking. The Kevin story was about a murder.
Abraham Papo's death occurred against a sordid backdrop. The world of human trafficking, debt bondage and sexual servitude. His girlfriend had been working at this brothel. She had rung him to say she'd been moved to Sydney and was being physically abused. She had begged him to help her. Do you think Abraham was going to try to save her?
Definitely.
Abraham Papo walked into the brothel to confront the owner. Someone grabbed a tyre lever. There was a fight and the 27-year-old was bashed to death. Abraham Papo died in his car trying to get away. Abraham Papo's killer, known as Kevin, a convicted criminal and veteran of the sex trade who worked at the brothel, claimed it was self-defence. Papo's family doesn't believe it.
He was silenced. He was murdered. Brutally killed.
Right now we're driving off to meet David Papo. Now David is the brother of Abraham.
Hey mate.
G'day, just letting you know we're on time. We'll be there 3 minutes early.
Oh, for fuck's sake, all right. I'm stuck right in the house.
David, in fact the whole Papo family are obviously massively traumatised from the killing. But Kevin would never have been charged with murder if it wasn't for what I dug up 10 years ago. That was massive at the time, but he was found not guilty. It's our system, you respect the system, but there's bad shit went on back then. A man lost his life, a woman was probably human trafficked, but the crooks got away with it. It's one of the blessings of this job. You get to meet really good people and brave people. I mean, we're asking him to speak out about an organised crime gang. He's a bloke who lives in the suburbs with a wife and a kid. It's no small thing for him. I've got the backing of a big company behind me, keep me safe. So for him to speak up, be willing to go on camera and confront this stuff, that's absolutely gutsy. Long time no see.
It's been a long time. How are you?
Good, good.
That's all right.
Where should we plonk down?
Wherever you want to sit. Really up to you.
There you go. What a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting you.
Because I come.
All right.
Good to see you.
Likewise. My journey, well, there's been things happening recently. It really starts with Abraham's death. That's the only reason I got interested in human trafficking. Doing this has made me think about Abraham a lot. I've reread the stories, watched the Four Corners, and just thought about him. Even though I never met him, I feel like I know him. What do you miss most about him?
Probably his laughter. Yeah.
That's right. You're making me tear up now. Grab a glass of water or something if you know.
Oh, I'm all good. It's it's good to remember, but it's hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. Someone called me, one of Abraham's mates, and said, "This is bullshit. He's been killed, but no one's been charged. And there's this trafficking thing. He had a girlfriend, and she's probably trafficked." And putting that all together, and publishing that story, and finally getting the coroner to say, "No, there's something more here." And then the relief of Kevin being charged. But then, what's your feeling these years later about the fact that Kevin got away with it all?
You could see the way the trial was panning out. If you can't find him 100% guilty of murder, then he's innocent. And that was the massive turning point where I'm sitting there going, this guy's he's gonna walk away.
Did you ever lock eyes on Kevin?
I did.
What did you see in him when you looked at him?
Nothing. No emotion, no nothing.
The last few weeks, as weird as my job sometimes is, I've been sitting outside some brothels, the brothels that the same syndicate run, trying to find evidence of human trafficking. I'm going to show you something. You recognise it?
Yeah.
Like, I was shocked. He's running a legal licensed brothel. I find it inexplicable. I mean, for me, it's just nothing changes. He's driving an expensive Audi. His life goes on, and he's doing exactly the same thing. And the state, the powers that be, don't seem to be able to stop it.
Don't seem to be able to, or don't want to, or not interested. I've got nothing wrong with a guy going to a brothel, but to know that there's women out there that aren't doing this at their own free will it's really sad.
Abraham, the night that he died, he was like, why did he care so much about Sanju? Why did he care so much about this woman?
He was in love with her. I mean, he spent his last 2 years of his life with her. Got her completely out of that environment, helping support her, teaching her English. Still got some DVDs that I can't bring myself to watch, but yeah.
I can't tell you how much like Abraham's face, that photo has just burned into my brain.
Obviously I look a lot like him, but a bit obviously larger and fatter. But I find it hard to look at myself in the mirror.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ, mate.
It's probably why I let myself go a bit.
Let's have a cup of tea. Life is f***ed up sometimes, isn't it? That's the thing about being a journalist. You can be led into people's lives, not just like a little bit. They let you fully into their lives, and they share their pain and their suffering, and that's how can you not be fired up to push on when that's happening? It would be easy to be cynical. I reported on human trafficking in great detail 12 years ago, 10 years ago. There was big headlines, there was promises of reform and change. We've got to keep the spotlight on this. We've got to keep telling the public what's going on. If we start with the Melbourne Syndicate, well, the story of the Melbourne Syndicate is pretty simple. It's a syndicate that's been running for over 10 years. We know their modus operandi is to bring in hundreds of women, largely from South Korea, and they use often debt bondage to trap them. And to pay it off, they have to have sex with man after man after man. One of the key leaders is Major Kim. She's the boss. She works with a guy called Simon Pan, an alleged crime figure. It's his brothel, number 39. And then there's Kevin the Muscle. The AFP do a big investigation, and in 2014 they finally crack Major Kim. They don't get her for human trafficking though, they get her for lesser organised crime offences. Still, she goes to jail for 4 years. But even while she's in jail, and the word in the underworld is that she's still running the business. The information we have today is the syndicate is still running, and running red hot. The AFP has agreed to give me access to some of the investigators to get the inside story as to how they took on the syndicate. But in talking to them, you've got to understand as well, they're police. The AFP is a guarded, secretive institution, so we'll see what we get.
We'd heard things about a syndicate that, was bringing in Korean women. We'd heard things about Major Kim. We wanted to find out who she was, and that's when we realised that it was really difficult to find out who she was and where she was. No credit cards. I don't think she had any bank accounts. She had no property in her name. Cash, cash, cash. She was a very disciplined individual. At the time, she had 10 managers, and each of those basically had 10 women, so she had 100 sex workers working for her at any given time. She needs Korean sex workers because the demand in Melbourne at the time was for Korean. She had a couple of facilitators in South Korea. Anyone that was working in the sex industry there, they'd find out if they had a debt, and then they'd offer them a trip to Australia to pay off their debt.
They would be charged exorbitant amounts for the flight to come out, for transport to and from the brothels. If they failed to turn up to work, they would be fined. Botox and hair and clothing would probably be about $10,000 worth. And this would all be added onto their debt, and it would just compound and compound. There was one particular individual who let us know that her original debt of somewhere around $40,000 ended up being in the vicinity of $80,000, and this is all cash money.
I remember being really shocked. You walk into the back rooms and the girls are all sitting there, and along the wall is Listerine and antibiotics. When people are turning clients over 8, 12, 15 a night, that does a lot of damage. And it's really hard to fathom that any individual could do this to someone over and over and over again, because it's a commodity that keeps giving. It's an endless resource.
It is exploitation of the individual at their most intimate level.
Of this 100 women, how many of them would have faced fear, coercion, debt bondage, intimidation?
I think pretty much all of them. We're talking about no choice, no control, no safety, and no way of getting out.
The nature of the business model that she had was that people would be able to work their way up in the syndicate and then control people themselves and make profit from exploiting those that were themselves having been exploited. There's a phone call that is quite significant for us in the investigation, which we refer to as the 10-year phone call, where Major is berating her sister about how bad things are going and that these are the worst figures that we've had in 10 years this particular week. And that week, Major made $82,500.
The tape record of interview between Detective Leading Senior Constable James Cheshire and Major Kim. We believe that you have organised for females from Korea
그 뜻은 그 한국 여성들을
to come to work in brothels in Melbourne,
멜번에 있는 그 성매매업소에서 일하도록 주선을 해서
that you control who works at which brothel and when they work.
나는 이건 진짜 모르겠어요.
I don't know what you're talking about.
이건 계속 우리를 해봐. 매니저들은 뭘 매니저고 뭘 이거 하는지 계속 우리를 이거 잡잖아요. 나로. 지금
예?
지금 이때까지
Why do you keep going?
뭐 아가씨를 협박했다는지 내가 매니저라는지 뭘 돈을 먹는다는지 난 모르겠어요. 이거 왜
What do you
그러지?
mean I take money?
몇 년 동안 지금 나를 이렇게 잡아요.
So for many years you've been doing this to me.
우리는 피해자예요. 나하고 지민은 지금.
We are the victims.
Hannah, I spoke before about the fact that we've intercepted a number of phone calls about the operations of what we will allege in court is your syndicate.
그래서 법정에서 이 경찰
We decided that we would put the 10U phone call to her. And we started playing that call. It was less than about 30 seconds in before she asked me to stop playing it and asked for the interview to be ended.
Do you want me to stop the call? What would you like to tell me, Hannah?
거기에 대해서 하실 말씀 있으세요? No.
You want to tell me no?
저는 어떻게 되는 거예요?
네?
저는 어떻게 돼요? 지금?
What will happen to me now?
It was a moment there where it was clear between her and I that she knew that we had her.
What do these photos show?
So these are photos taken from the commencement of the warrants within Major Kim's apartment on South Bank. We knew that Major was quite the big spender at high-end boutiques. One wall, a dressing table there full of designer label perfumes.
Now that's a wall of shoes. And when you look at those, I mean, you're talking about shoes that are, $500 a pair and up.
It's insane.
Several $100,000 worth of bags.
Easily.
It's actually quite a striking image.
Each bag is the exploitation of many dozens of women.
What does that say about her psychology? Are we looking at the former sex worker turned manager turned big boss saying, I've made it, I've left the past behind, I'm now in charge?
Greed and power, I think, being known.
There's something really striking about seeing ordinary names here. Like, it's a reminder these are people.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica, Nadia, Jay, Sasha, Eva.
And young people.
Young people, yeah. How soon after Major Kim left jail did the intel start trickling in that she might be back up to her old ways?
Very quickly.
How many times have you made this trip on the trail of Major Kim and that crime syndicate?
Countless.
There's 39 there. Does that bring back memories? This is certainly open and running.
Absolutely. It's crime hiding in plain sight. You don't actually see the impact. If you drive along one of these streets and see a shop with a broken window, you see that there's crime going on there, or you see ambulances and police cars parked at someone who's been beaten up. You can actually see that. But, behind closed doors in a brothel, what's actually going on?
You said before you'd like to think that there wasn't still the same tale of misery happening behind the four walls of 39, yet you suspect it probably is. Is that just the cynical detective in you, or is that's organised crime?
I'd like to think it wasn't just the cynical detective, but I think if you have a look at what's been going on, you have a look at the people that are still around the environment, that it seems more than likely that that's still occurring.
So, we're going to meet our undercover potential undercover. So this is our first time we're going to have a chat with this guy and see if he's prepared to go and start helping us explore this Asian underground sex industry and the organised criminals behind it. I'll just ask them if they're prepared to sit out here. Need to be conscious of everything we'd say. The idea is we send you to target the sites where we think this is happening, ask for a service, and see how far you go.
Yep.
So, will you be comfortable doing that, number one?
Well, yeah, as long as my anonymity is the number one priority.
Do you have a feel for Chinese organised crime?
A little bit.
Yeah.
So I was a detective for over 12 years.
Like, are you quick on your feet? Are you good to, if something hairy jumps up, do you feel comfortable about dealing with it?
Yeah, no, pretty good with me, man. As you talk me way out of it.
Because one real basic thing is we can't have you having sex with anybody.
No.
That's going to put that on the table.
Yeah.
So how do you talk your way out of that? Is it, I've got a sore back, I'm impotent, I always want to talk, I'm just lonely?
Yeah, it just depends, I suppose, on the circumstances.
And I guess one thing to think about, if we are successful, and maybe we don't, maybe we're not, but if we are, there's every chance that, and we hope there's a Royal Commission into human trafficking. All this vision, one day you might be called to the stand, I might be called to the stand. We're mindful at every step we are lawful, ethical, and the rest of it. And it's a good test, I think. Then we can look at the vision you've got, see how you are on your feet, and get a sense of what it's going to look like and how you can do it. But just go gently, and it is the first time, and we'll just see, we'll look at the vision afterwards. You know, there's bad shit going down there.
Yeah.
We'll see how we go.
Yeah. So this is Tope Street we're turning into now, and then we're a couple of blocks up. Yeah, all right. Here you reckon? Oh, am I? Yeah. Sorry? Yeah.
It's cold. Freezing. Now, have a look this one. She is an international student.
Yeah.
Oh.
How old is she?
Let's take up 25. Ready. She is Tina.
G'day. Yeah.
She's very nice Korean.
Korean?
Yeah, Korean. She is...
Hey, there you go. Nice. What's her name? Mimi.
Have a look. Ethan.
There you go. Yeah, still bigger. No problem. All good, mate. Thank you. Hey, there you go. What's your name? Vicky.
I see a world that's very hard to look into by just going undercover and walking into a brothel. Yeah, we're only going undercover out of desperation because we don't have any way of glimpsing into this world. But ultimately, the heart of this story is what is the experience of those women who are on the inside? But it's bloody hard to find anyone who's willing to talk to us. Why? Of course, they're scared. You know, we've been trying for weeks and weeks now to get victims to talk to us, and it's extremely difficult. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Hi, Ji-yoon. We know some of the victims are back in Seoul or in South Korea.
Even if I succeed in finding one, it'd be really, really difficult for her to come on camera. Yeah, I'll try my best.
Okay.
Nice meeting you.
Be in touch. See ya. Take care. Just been given a call from a source. That brothel we've been targeting, number 39, the AFP have just raided that, like literally just raided it. And it's something to do with some women from Asia who've come to Australia, have been taken to the brothel and then have fled or left there and told the police that they've allegedly been coerced or held against their will or threatened or something like that. So our undercover guys were there 24 hours ago. I think we've stumbled right into the middle of a human trafficking investigation, which is good. It shows that our intel is right. So a bit of a breakthrough, just heading to the airport now. Our South Korean collaborator, a female journalist, Ji-yoon, has found a victim who might be willing to go on camera. If we can convince her to talk to us, it's going to be exactly what we need to keep getting to the bottom of what's been going on. Thanks very much. Hi, Ji-yoon.
Yes.
We've just arrived in Seoul, but I've got some bad news.
Okay.
I've tested positive to COVID.
Oh no.
Yeah, oh no. I have to go in quarantine now for 7 days.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping you can really help us out here. Is the victim still willing to talk to you, and is that all going ahead smoothly?
Actually, I heard that she feels still skeptical about media.
I'm sort of desperate. We need your help. I'm stuck in my hotel quarantine with COVID in South Korea. It's pretty tense for me here because I'm just waiting for news from our crew, which has travelled down to the State House to see if this human trafficking victim has shown up to tell her story. This victim actually was trafficked by the very syndicate that we're tracking in Melbourne, Australia. So to hear from her, to hear about how vulnerable women are treated is just vital.
Hello.
Hi, Joel. Nice meeting you.
You too.
As a reporter, it's my first time doing a story like this. So for me, yeah, it's new and difficult. It's really important not to approach this kind of issue with some kind of judgment. These are people who experienced very horrific situations. So I don't want to become a reporter who hurts their feeling again.
Good luck.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Okay.
어휴, 많이 덥네요. 덥죠?
아, 죄송해요. 에어컨이 하나도 안 시원하죠. 호주로 가자고 얘기를 들으셨을 때 상황이 좀 어떤 상황이셨는지.
좀 힘들었었어요. 많이 힘들었어. 그때 한참 힘들었어요.
어떻게 호주로 가게 되셨는지 여쭤볼게요.
저는 그때 너무 많이 어렸고 어린 마음에 돈 욕심도 있고 돈 욕심이었죠. 호주에 갔다 온 언니가 그냥 무조건 편하고 합법적이라고 그 말을 그 언니가 되게 강조를 많이 했어요. 그래도 한국 사람이면 걸리지 않냐 물어보니까 안 걸린다고 그러는 거예요. 표도 그쪽에서 끊어주고 와서 그냥 갚아라 이래가지고 갔는데 가자마자 빚의 연속이었어. 지금 제가 생각하면 미친 짓이죠. 자기한테 제 여권을 주고 가라고 해서 그래서 줬어요. 그렇게 그리고 세뇌를 시켜줘요. 엄청 위험하니까 관리 잘하라고. 나갈 때는 항상 내 허락 받고 나가라고 하잖아. 감금이잖아요, 사실. 뭐라고 그랬냐면요. 호주 사람들은 한국 사람들보다 몇천 배는 더 깨끗하다고 그랬어요. 근데 받은 손님들은 이빨 다 썩어 있는 손님들이었죠. 얘네들은 영어도 못하니까 바보라고 생각하거든요. 그 사람들이 성구매자들이 얘네들은 그냥 아시아 멍청이들이라 우리가 얘기하는 거 쟤네들은 알아먹지도 못한다고. 주 7일 매일매일 계속 일했죠. 그 안에서 다 했어요. 나오지를 못했죠. 그 안에서 돈 벌고 방에서 자고 방에서 밥 먹고. 지금 생각해보면 다 착취죠. 다 착취죠. 거의 3-4년이라는 시간을 뺏겼거든요. 돈도 다 갈취당하고.
만약에 그러면 경찰에 신고를 하거나 도움을 요청할 수 있는 분위기였는지.
무섭죠. 일단 경찰이라는 것 자체가 아무리 합법이라고 해도 나는 이미 불법인 나라 한국에서 왔잖아요.
지금 현재도 호주 미미숍이 운영을 한다고 했잖아요. 그 지금 계신 분들한테 혹시 해주고 싶으신 말씀?
제가 뭐라고 얘기를 해야 되지?
아직도 이렇게 좀 마음이 좀 그러신가요? 갑자기 누가 문득문득 생각이 난다거나.
그게 꿈속에 안 나올 것 같아요. 꿈에서도 내가 말을 하고 있는 거예요. 근데 저는 내가 저렇게 힘든 일도 당하고 어려운 상황도 했었는데 지금 살아가면서 앞으로 힘든 일은 아무것도 아닐 거라고 그렇게 솔직히 살아가고 있어요.
How do we say it? I kind of respected her strongness, I guess. In Korea, people's general thinking about this industry is that women go into that industry voluntarily, so we don't have to have pity on them.
제가 좀 큰 돈이 좀 빠르게 필요한 상황이 생겨가지고 호주 그 멜번 쪽에 그 제가 건너 들었는데 좀 브로델 쪽 일을
그게 있고 근데 요즘 워낙 아가씨가 없어서 만약에 지훈 씨 간다고 하면 엄청 반길 거예요 아마.
호주가 다닌 적이 한 번도 없어요. 네, 그러면은 학생이니까 신청하셔야거든요. 중학교 맞아요. 웬만하면 너 가가지고 학교 제일 싸고 교체를 안 가거든요. 아예 그대로 비대 학생들 되게 많아요. 이거 유학원이나 부동산 하는 사람 근데 워낙 저한테 예전에 그렇게 하셨던 분이 많아요. 저를 살려서 매번 나도 또 서울게요 지금. 엄청 크잖아. 그냥 아예 그냥 샵에서 어쨌든 일하면 거기는 사람들 줄 서 있잖아요. 거기서 막 돈 많이 버는 사람들 이렇게 많이 벌어.
듣기로는 그냥 사업이 맞지 않다라는.
Jiyun.
Oh, hi, nice meeting you.
Finally.
This is Jiyun.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice
Yeah.
meeting you too. It's like 10 times better than our office.
This is my filthy desk. Let me show you something before. This might be just slightly helpful, but we're not filming. Yeah, we just don't. Just be careful what you say.
Huh.
We'll talk more off camera about that. So were you scared when you were meeting him?
Not really, because I was at a coffee shop and there were a lot of people. So
Yeah.
he wasn't very suspicious about me.
And did he say you have to go to school?
He said you don't have to go to school. He actually advertises like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a total rort. It's a scam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
그거 뭐 하나 시켰어. 그거 와서 안 하시는 거야.
아, 뭐 식사하셨어요?
아니 같이 먹었잖아.
사실은 지금 말씀을 드려야 되겠. 저는 서울에 있는 뉴스타파의 김지훈 기자라고 하는데요.
네네네.
미미 아시죠?
알죠.
김매자 씨. 김매자 씨하고 혹시 아직까지도 일을 같이 하세요?
일을 같이 하냐고요?
예. 그러니까 예를 들어서 알선이라든지 여성분들. 그래서 제가 취재를 하려고.
Excuse me, can I just interrupt? I'm Nick McKenzie from the Australian media. We know you've been helping women come to Australia from Korea, working for a sex syndicate. They're being abused, they're being trafficked.
No.
Many women. Why do you do this?
No. Why are you recording this front of? 지금
We can talk outside. We'll talk outside. Yeah.
여기다 근데 화면 일단은 이건 내 허락 없이 왜 이거를 지금 얼굴 취재하는 거예요?
All these women you bring to Australia, you know they're being exploited.
지금 저 생각은 안 하시는 거예요 지금? 아니 다른 사람들 오해를 할 수가 있잖아요 그러면은.
그러면 그게 알선이 아니라 뭐라고 그러니까 뭔지 설명을 좀 해주시면.
아니 저는 돈을 받고 그런 게 아니라 저는 유학원이니까 비자를 해준 것을 제가 알선해준 게 아니었잖아요. 이거 지금 화면.
I'm recording you. I'm asking you some questions. You've helped all these women come to Australia, working for an organised crime syndicate. How do you justify that?
이게 저희가 그런 정보를 얻어가지고 그러니까 인지 아닌지를 설명해
Do you know
주시면
what happens?
돼요.
Do you know what happens to the women that you help come here?
따로 얘기하겠어요. 이거 지금.
대표님.
잠깐 꺼보세요. 잠깐만.
아니 끌게요 그러면.
Drawing out. She's closing. I did think for a second he was going to punch me in the face.
God.
What happened?
But he keeps saying that he's not involved with that anymore.
Did he know Major Kim?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said Mimi Nuna, which means really close sister. Nuna means close sister?
As in she was his close sister?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to call Major Kim now.
Oh, okay.
She's probably more likely to talk to you, isn't she?
She'll feel more comfortable if
Yeah.
I talk to her in Korean, yeah.
So I've been told that, like, from my policing sources, she's extremely dangerous, extremely cunning, and just be really, really careful. Yeah. She's famous for changing her number, so
All the time, right?
yeah. So this numbers could be dead. Ringing. Hello, it's Nick McKenzie. You were wanting to talk to me?
From McKinsey. Nick.
I was the journalist yesterday. Well, I confronted you yesterday with Ji Yoon.
Oh my. If someone working in sex industry, whatever, in Australia is a legal thing. So I don't because I'm not their father, I'm not their family. So I'm
But you know they're working for Major Kim. You know she's a criminal. You know she exploits women.
Nick, listen to me. I don't care they're working and any brothel or.
Why don't you care? These women are being mistreated by organised crime. Why don't you care?
No. I'm not helping. Only I'm helping the citizen visa things. I don't have to answer your question. Are you the lawyer? Are you the police?
No, I'm a journalist. And no, of course you don't have to answer my questions, but you're the one who wanted to talk to me.
You text me, you call me.
Oh, sorry, don't get cute. Ji-yoon said you really wanted to talk to me.
Perspectives like Doo-won is kind of problem.
Yeah, you know, these people, the lawyers, the accountants, the fixers, the visa migration agents, they're the handmaidens of organised crime. The gangster needs the migration fixer, he needs the accountant, needs the lawyer. And these people are, I'm just a guy in a suit. I don't know, where the girls end up in the brothel, it's just not my fault, I'm not. And it's like, no, you are the infrastructure of organised crime. Without you, it doesn't function. And I really hope we get to expose them. I hope Australian people care. I'm scared that we'll do all this work and the audience will see a blacked out face and they'll say, oh, it's just an Asian sex worker, who cares? Demand, supply, prostitution, the world's oldest profession.
People have different views, so some would and some wouldn't. But I think still it's our job to tell this story that human trafficking is wrong and it's more sophisticated than you think. And anybody can be victims.
The same thing motivates me that it did 10 years ago, is ultimately who's paying the biggest price out of all this? It's people. This is real people and they deserve to have their rights protected. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Should we go grab a seat?
Yeah, let's
Over
grab
here.
a seat.
You've been into brothels, been a sex worker yourself. How do we say to Johnny Public, how do we humanise and ensure we care more about sex workers, especially foreign sex workers?
Essentially, we have this big problem where migrant sex workers from Asia are seen as, on one hand, seen as a victim, but on the other hand, they're also seen as criminals. On top of the existing what we call whorephobia, you have layers of kind of racism and xenophobia come into play. People forget that these are human beings, that regardless of what you think of this person's choices, they are entitled to basic human rights. If there is trafficking happening in the workplace, why are you not looking after the workers? Why are you not ensuring that the workers are receiving protection? The response is shut it down, get them out of here.
Which is keeping people who might think that they're being exploited silent?
If they go to the police, they may not be believed or arrested themselves and deported. What incentive is there for somebody to come forward in that situation?
Do you think we have created a second class of worker in Australia? Someone without the rights of someone who may have been born here?
As Australian citizens, we are willing to benefit off the labour of migrant workers, but are unwilling to provide them any rights. And the Australian public, Australian government is complicit in that exploitation.
Who are the crooks in this scenario?
Well, you know, I think that there's a lot of crooks in this scenario, really.
Over the road is a massage centre in Hawthorn. It's pretty wealthy suburban Melbourne.
So the story the source tells is basically Major Kim is still operating,
and that's where her operation is now.
Our source actually said they knew that passports had been taken away, and they knew that women had been assaulted quite viciously sometimes if they challenged Major Kim about their conditions.
So I'm going to walk in and ask to speak to her. I'll be polite and respectful, explain who I am and say, you've never told your story in your words. Will you speak to me? I feel a little bit scared. She's known to be dangerous. Might sound odd me saying that, but she's an organised crime figure. To finally come face to face with her is
Well, it's been a long time coming. My name is Nick McKenzie.
Yeah.
I'm the journalist. I was hoping to talk to you.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, can we... I don't want to be in the room.
okay.
Is it okay we come out and sit out? Yeah. This is my name.
yeah.
I want to ask you about the women coming from Korea. You know, you're exploiting the women coming from Korea?
Yeah, Korea, yeah.
Yeah, you take the women's passports, you exploit the sex workers coming from Korea.
What?
You know, the human trafficking, you were charged with trafficking women.
No.
Yeah, you're Major Kim?
Yeah, Major
Yeah,
Kim.
remember you went
Excuse me, no.
you went to prison?
No, yeah, before you come
Yeah.
here, yeah.
Well,
I know go prison. I go prison. So I talking better. Look.
it's okay.
No.
I want to talk to you. Can you call me?
Me no boss. Me no this one. So I go Victoria police already talking lah. 39 boss take girl coming. No me. Another people do. Why me do? Me again. My name I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I come in here. Nothing. No money. Nothing. Me no take passport. Me no take girl.
Yeah.
No me.
Okay.
This is 9 channel no.
I'm from The Age. You've got my name. Can you please call me or send me a message? Okay. Thank you. She denied being involved in trafficking. She started to cry at the end. But I don't know what to make of it. It was upsetting in some ways. I don't know. She put on a very good performance. I mean, to be honest, I felt sorry for her. But I've been warned that's what she does. She's very manipulative, a master manipulator. What we do know, though, is she's just running a massage parlour. It looks a lot like a brothel to me, an illegal brothel. And years go past and nothing changes. Some new sources have come forward. They've heard I'm looking at human trafficking. I've just got a call with a potentially very juicy tip about an unknown trafficking boss. My gut tells me this could open up this investigation into a whole new direction. So my source has identified one name that we should look at. I am Bin Jun-shi. A really shadowy crime boss, someone I think is very high up. We think this crime boss might be supplying the women to syndicates all over the country. Like, investigative journalism is not rocket science. Sometimes it's just a matter of Googling someone's email. I just got a hit. I've got an address in Chinatown in Sydney. Let's look. There's an old article here, 10 years or so old, from the UK press saying Bin Jun-shi, about the same age, is arrested in the UK for human trafficking. If this is the right Bin Jun-shi, that's huge.
Hello?
Yeah, hi, is that Kevin?
Yes.
Kevin, it's Nick McKenzie, the journalist from Australia who reached out on LinkedIn. Let me send you a picture. Is that the same Bin Jun-shi that you arrested?
That's exactly him, yeah, that's how I remember him. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's not a nice bloke. I know we used to send our criminals to you, but it's a serious conviction he's got here.
Is he a human trafficker?
Oh yeah, he's definitely involved in that, yeah.
Bingo. I'd like to start by showing you a photo. Recognise that person?
Yeah, that's Bin Jun-shi.
Bin Jun-shi.
He's unforgettable.
Why is he unforgettable?
I sat across the table from him for 4 hours interviewing him about sex trafficking and brothels in the UK. 17 people will be locked up for this, and at the top was Bin Jun-shi.
How would you describe the scale of the operation?
Oh, it was enormous. Absolutely enormous. It was complex. We knew that we were onto something big. It's only when we started to see the money come in from different towns that we realised that actually this is right across the country. Girls were coming from China, Macau and places like that. They were losing their passports on the way, they were losing their identities, and they were being picked up at the airport and taken straight to the sex industry. We would watch them arrive, they would go in and they wouldn't come out again, ever. They stayed naked most of the time, or semi-naked most of the time. They were there to perform only one thing. That was all they did. The girls were effectively prisoners.
So how did you actually track down the syndicate to here?
Yeah, this is it here. So downstairs is where the punters went in, down these steps here, onto the door down there, and the girl was in the bedroom up here. Pretty grubby, very basic. There was nothing much in there. There was a bed, a sheet on it. There was no real clothes in there for the girl.
How many sites like this were there around the whole of the UK?
Around the UK like this?
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds. Every time they shut down the brothel, the girls performing had no ID. None of them were actually legally here, not one person. These girls are not willing, and they're not willing to talk neither.
Why were they so reluctant to talk, to trust British police?
If you're part of an organised crime group and you're the person who brings the organised crime group down, you can expect the repercussions from that.
What do you think people like Bin Junshi had over these girls to keep them so compliant, to keep them prisoners?
Physically, he's nothing physically. It's mental, I think. Fear, I think. Bin Junshi had a nickname. He was referred to as Hammer.
As Hammer?
He was referred to as Hammer, yeah. Hundreds of thousands of pounds went through Bin Junshi's own personal accounts in unidentified cash.
And the money you saw was tip of the iceberg?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. We only know what we know. It's the thing that we don't know is bigger. Every line that comes out of here is a piece of evidence that connects Bin Junshi to a brothel or to a name or to a bank account. It was 68,000 pages of evidence, and as I took him through the charts, I could see the penny dropping on his face.
And he knew you had it?
He knew I had him. He knew.
Surely someone in Australia should have said, you're not allowed here, mate. You've just got out of jail in Britain for human trafficking.
Yeah, I thought that might be the case. I thought Australia was hard to get into. Bearing in mind that he was jailed here for, I think it was 5, maybe 6 years, with a condition that he was deported back to China upon his release. And it seems that he's gone straight back to China and then straight into Australia and started again. It's unbelievable.
What would your message be to Australian authorities about the need to catch up with this guy?
If he's doing it again, then if you keep letting it go, it's only going to get bigger.
So we have a target. His name's Bin Junshi. He's a likely human trafficking senior boss, but we don't know whether the Bin Junshi we suspect is the trafficking boss is the same Bin Junshi as we found.
Okay.
More than anything else, we need to get a photo of the guy. If we can match this person, it opens up a whole can of worms.
Okay. Well, we can start surveillance almost immediately, stage a delivery to him and see if he comes down to get it.
There's no doubt. I've got his face frozen on the computer. There's no doubt that's Bin Junshi. There's fresh intelligence we've uncovered, which is very credible, that shows people with a deep involvement in organised crime, in violence, in human trafficking. So Bin Junshi looks like he's running girls all across the country, across state borders. We're talking hundreds of girls, we're talking dozens of bank accounts, we're talking dozens of mid-level managers, we're talking fake mobile phones, fake bank accounts or bank accounts in dummies' names. Grab a seat there. So since the last time I spoke to you, I've probably spent 6 weeks building the best intelligence picture I can of the syndicate in Queensland, which has actually been busted a few times by police. And it's fascinating because what the syndicate is doing is using the motels as illegal brothels, places to house the Asian women who are working as sex workers. What we want you to see, if we can confirm, is are these motels still being used to house Asian sex workers by the syndicate? You've got very few chances to get the evidence on camera that we need. If the motels are all connected, you go to 2, hang on, this bloke keeps showing up motels. You can't pay for a sex act, so that's going to be suspicious in and of itself. So are you going to film as you go?
I suppose that's an option. It's pretty, I suppose, pretty risky.
Zoe, age 21, Townsville. This number is linked to the suspected trafficking syndicate. We call this number now. We want to be taken to ideally the site of their operation, which we think might be the motel.
The person you called is not available.
So they've just texted you just now. Hello, my full GFE service is 15 minutes, $120, 60 minutes, $250, 2 times come. Address is the motel. Boom, motel. Let me just call a contact. It's Nick here. I was wondering if any of your people would know if the motel rings a bell linked to this syndicate. Yeah, terrific. Okay, we'll get cracking. Thanks so much, appreciate it. Just be very careful about that, that's a human source. Our thesis was they're running possibly trafficked, but certainly exploited Asian women across all these motels down the East Coast, making tens of millions of dollars. And the very first phone call we've made has directed us to a motel, which they probably own or control. So you guys hit the road and good luck. So all we needed our undercover to do is to go inside the motel and be directed to a room, maybe meet a girl, maybe meet 2, and then get the hell out of there.
Hello.
Nó chỉ có thì nó thuê báo họ khảo
Vậy hả?
và thu tiền.
No chance of getting another girl at a threesome?
Walking into what was the queue.
Oh, young man?
Supposed to meet someone in.
Right. Who was that?
Steve said to come here and meet someone.
The girl is in a room. I got arrested. They having Asian girls here.
Fuck, I don't want to do that.
So we haven't been taking him, but there is one here in 17, but that's the only Asian we have here. I don't know what she does. She's a hooker or what, I don't know.
Well, it's nothing to do with here, I'll go knock on the door. Hey, it's Peter.
Hi, baby.
Hey.
Come on, honey. How are you?
Good, I'm good. What do you have?
Massage sex.
Saki?
Yeah.
All right.
How much for?
For half hour, 150. 1 hour, 250.
All right, let me go because I need to finish checking, drop my bags, everything.
All right.
Okay.
Take my number?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. What's your name?
My name is Lisa.
All right, look. Come back a bit later.
All right.
It's good. It's really useful.
I don't know if you want us in those rooms or
No,
not.
I think it's perfect. I thought it'd be a lot harder to do what you guys have just done.
So, mate, they're in every hotel up this road. Every hotel you want, just go there and there'll be someone there for you.
You seem extremely passionate about combating this crime type. Why are you so passionate?
I detest people that make financial gain through the suffering of others.
How did your detectives stumble across the motel syndicate? Where'd you get the first hint that something like this was up and running?
So the Major and Organised Crime Squad started looking at complaints of illegal prostitution activities in North Queensland. As a result of investigating those complaints, we were able to quickly establish that there was a much more sinister and bigger picture behind this offending. We had to reach the point where we stopped looking at the sex workers themselves as offenders, but as victims, as pawns in a much bigger picture of organised crime. These organised crime syndicates arrange for vulnerable women to be brought into the country. They don't speak the language, so they're put into a motel in a town where they have no contact, no support. They stay in that room, they live in that room, they work out of that room until they are moved like cattle across the country into different motels to perform the same functions. They're put in the back corner, out of the way, and, you know, if you were to sit here for a period of time, you'd see the people coming and going.
The money the syndicate makes through motels like this are then pumped into buying fresh motels, fresh properties?
You're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's why they've set up up and down the east coast of Queensland. And I'm really quite confident it's all over Australia.
What you're saying is it's a hell of a lot bigger than has been publicly revealed to date.
It's certainly, in my estimation, much, much bigger.
Why isn't more being done to stop this trade?
That's a really difficult question. I think it's not an easy piece of work. It's an issue the community aren't really aware of. It's an issue that's really difficult to investigate. We need to target the wealth and the profit being generated. That's where, as investigators or law enforcement, I see our opportunities.
There it is. There's full service, body rub, a BJ, no natural sex, no anal.
Well, the hotel is one of the syndicate hotels, interestingly owned out of China.
Can be there soon. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Room 220.
Okay, let me go and open up. Look at left.
Hello.
Hello.
Is this level 3? Yeah. Right place?
Okay.
It's dark.
Huh?
And I can't see you.
Can't see you?
Can't see you properly.
I mean, no English.
You. Yeah, little English.
English is.
I understand you.
你想要什么
It depends on what the prices are.
Half an hour.
Yep, is
150.
150. And what do I get for that? I was thinking someone younger.
Younger?
Yeah.
I really good one.
I think people have a misconception that police and law enforcement is everywhere. But the truth is they've extremely limited resources. Yeah, often they're doing a tremendous job with those limited resources, but politics and other pressures come to bear. And I always think of what a detective said to me. He said, there is the crime we accept and the crime we don't. And the crime we accept is the crime the police forces say, well, it's too hard, or it's not a political priority. And human trafficking, unfortunately, is one of those crime types. And that's because it's too hard and too expensive and too difficult to investigate.
Cooking.
You cook dinner for me as well, so I come here, I can have sex and dinner.
Yeah, you message my boss.
Who's your boss?
I don't know.
Do I need the number to go to 45 or can I just go there?
You can just go there and knock on the door.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Half hour for service 130.
How you doing? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can you do my combo?
The what again?
My combo 6.
Your pay extra.
How much for that?
350, okay?
350?
Yeah.
It's too much, baby.
You 300, okay?
Hello?
Hello, Bin Jun Shi.
Who is this?
My name is Nick McKenzie. I'm an Australian journalist, and I'm calling you about your business.
What business?
Your business running Asian sex workers across Australia.
Sorry?
Your business running Asian sex workers across Australia. And I want to ask you, you got into Australia even though you went to jail in the United Kingdom for running a big network of underground sex linked to human trafficking. Did you tell the Australians that you'd been to jail?
I think you've got the wrong number.
No, is this Bin Jun Shi?
No.
What's your name?
I think it's the wrong number.
What's your name? Well, that was Bin Jun Shi. And he's probably absolutely packing himself now because he's thinking, what the F? What's just happened? Bin Jun Shi, I need to ask you questions about your business. My name is Nick McKenzie, Australian journalist. Will you speak with me? The Queensland Police told us that there were women subjected to potential trafficking, certainly coercive and unpleasant conditions, being moved like cattle around the country. Does that accord with your knowledge?
Yes, we are hearing those sorts of claims. And one of the challenges that we have from a law enforcement perspective is that we actually need those victims to come forward. In the absence of those victims themselves coming forward, and there's a whole range of reasons why they might not, then we are largely in the dark when it comes to this crime type.
What do the latest stats tell us about the incidence of human trafficking in Australia?
So we are really upfront about the fact that it is a largely hidden crime. We believe that trafficking will continue and it'll continue to rise. So we are seeing, that post February when the borders did open, we are definitely seeing an uptick in trafficking into Australia.
If the incidence of trafficking is on the rise, if it's happening, why is the AFP's rate of prosecution of human traffickers so miserly?
That's a complex question. Let me just gather my thoughts. We have to meet a fairly high threshold so that we have to ensure that our briefs of evidence contain enough evidence to have a successful prosecution. So there are some challenges in getting enough of that evidence. Some of it might be that we don't actually have a victim that's on board. So that's a genuine challenge.
Would it concern you if there was a trafficking boss known to various agencies with criminal records, up to his old tricks, sitting here doing the same old thing?
Yeah, we'd probably want to know about that and see what action we can take as a result.
What do you say to those Australian men who turn a blind eye and use services where there's lots of indicators of trafficking, of misery, of exploitation?
It certainly worries us how much appetite there is for using these sorts of services of exploited women. That's problematic for all of Australia.
What does it say about us?
I don't want to say that, sorry. Yeah.
Hey guys, hi.
I think we're good to go now. How are you feeling, Nick? Ready? Stand by. Yeah, 3.
Well, they were received a tip-off about this story last year. Couldn't believe what I was being told. 12 months of investigating, though, has not only confirmed it, but also established it's much worse than first thought.